Hey, 7th graders, we're going to do 7-3 today, page 349. We're going to solve one-step equations with multiplication and division this time. Last time it was adding and subtracting. This time it's multiplication and division, but it's not a normal equation. It's an inequality because it doesn't have the equal sign. It has a less than, greater than, a greater than or equal to, or a less than or equal to sign.
Draw two.
No, you're not going to draw.
I draw two, Mommy.
You're going to draw two? No. Okay. Claire's going to draw on the page. Great. Okay. So over here,
Cha-cha.
solve 8x is less than or equal to 40. And then check your solution. Then, well, that's great.
Yeah, perfect.
This is great. Anyone else having a great time? Oh, look, she did an arrow. That was pretty cool.
Ball.
A ball? Nice. Then you're going to graph the solution. Graphing is just when you have a number line that's not colored on by a 2-year-old. And you just make the number and then you fill in the circle or leave it open and then you point whatever direction it's going in. Okay, so 8x is less than or equal to 40. So you need to isolate the variable by doing the inverse operation. 8x means it's multiplication. So what is the opposite of multiplying? Dividing. So there's our division sign, and that will cancel each other out, leaving just the x, and then the sign, and then 40 divided by 8 is 5. So the solution is 5, okay? Oops, if I can get it. All right, and then to graph it, so I'm going to make my own, which is just fine. It doesn't matter. Right in the middle, you'll put the number that the solution is, so 5. You can put other ones around it if you want, like that would be 6 and that would be 4, but it doesn't matter. And then we make our circle. Do we fill in the circle? Claire, quit bumping me. Yes, we fill in the circle because of the line underneath. So you fill in the circle there. And which way is the arrow pointing? To the left. So we go left. Great. That's really poorly done, but you get the idea. Okay, and over here you do the same thing. So Claire's helping me still. 12x is greater than or equal to negative 36. Now, there's a negative, so it's going to be tricky. That's the thing that's going to trip you up. Since it's multiplication, you're going to do the inverse, which is divide by the number on the same on both sides. That cancels out to just x. Keep the symbol. It's greater than or equal to. And then a negative divided by a positive is a negative. 36 divided by 12 is 3. 12 can go into 36 3 times. So we find our negative 3. There it is. Do we fill in the circle? Yep, because of that line underneath. That means or equal to. And our arrow's pointing that way. All right. Oh, look, Claire's writing some stuff too. Over here now, here's where it gets a little bit different. It's division, which is actually easier because you do the inverse. What's the inverse of dividing? Multiplying. That's it. Okay, I'll trade you, Claire. Okay, I'm getting the pink one now. Solve D divided by 2 is greater than 7. Then check and then graph. All right. No, Claire, we're on this page, honey.
No.
Wait, what? That's not.
Okay.
This is so much fun with a toddler. Okay, so what do? All you do is times by this number. I don't know, well, and I'll rip it out then. All right, so we're going to times by 2 on each side. They set it up like this. Just know that the 2's will cancel each other out because what it really is, it's, I think I told the 6th graders last time. If you have D over 2 and you're going to times it by 2 because that number's 2, 2's over 1. So you can cross simplify these. 2 can go into itself one time, 2 can go to itself one time. So all you have is D times 1 is D. 1 times 1 is 1. So D over 1 is just D. That's why it reduces down, in case you wanted to know that. You might not have. So you have to do it on both sides, though. So now you times 7 by 2, and that's 14. So the solution is 14. And you can check it by substituting a number greater than it. So 15, and that could work. So you could put 15 divided by 2, and then is that greater than 7? Yeah, so that would work, okay? To graph it, though, the easiest part, my favorite part, you make an open circle because there's no line underneath it. The arrow points this way to the right.
Done.
Done. Okay? Now over here, now it's got a negative, so they're going to trick us here, and it's backward, but it doesn't matter. Okay, so you take this number by the variable and you times it. This is a division symbol, so you're going to do the opposite, which is multiply. Multiply by 7. I see. Good job. Multiply by 7. This will cancel each other out, just like it did up there, to equal just x. That symbol, which we'll keep on this way for now. What's 6 times 7? 42. But it's a negative times a positive. Negative times a positive equals a negative. Now, if you graph it this way, it's going to be wrong. You need to flip it so the x is on the left, the variable's on the left. So what way is that arrow pointing? Right at the x. Okay, negative 42. Okay, all right. You find that negative 42. Do we fill in the circle? Yup. I just made it pretty big. You don't have to do that. And it points this way, and you're done. Okay, next, we're going to just flip through here. So on page 355 are the practice problems. You'll be doing yours online, but here's some here. Let's do real quick. If we have 3x, that means it's a multiplication problem, so we do the opposite, which is divide. So you'll divide by 3 on each side. This cancels each other out, leaving x is greater than, what's 12 divided by 3? X is greater than, 3 goes into 12 4 times. So you find the 4. Oh, it's there. Do we fill in the circle? No, there's no line underneath. Arrow points this way. That's it. Over here, this again is a multiplication problem. So you divide by 12 on each side. Okay, cancels each other out, leaving x, and then that, and then 12 goes into 65 times. But it's backwards, so we need to flip it. Okay, so we'll flip it, put x there. The arrow is pointing toward the x, so we just flip it. 5. It's a positive, so we find 5. Do we fill in circle? Yep, because of the line underneath. Arrow goes that way. That is a horrible arrow. You get my point. Over here, still multiplication, so we're going to switch. Still multiplication, so we're going to switch. I'll come back to that because it's others. All right, here it's division. The variable's on top. So you go times 6 on each side. Okay, this will cancel each other out like we saw on the previous page, leaving x is greater than or equal to, what's 2 times 6? 12. So actually, the ones that look like a fraction are the easiest. You put a 12, you fill in the circle because the line's underneath, and you put your arrow that way. Boom. Over here, same thing. Times by 3 on each side, because this will cancel each other out, leaving just the x is less than, what's 5 times 3? 15. We don't fill in the circle. We go this way and over there. Over here with a decimal, we divide by 1.1 on each side. Yeah, it's fine. She's been interrupting the whole time. It's cool. This cancels each other out. It's a negative divided by a positive, so it's going to be a negative, and you can use a calculator. Thank you, Alex. So what's 4.4 divided by 1.1? Well, it's just 4. That's easy, but it's a negative 4 because of that. Okay, so negative 4. Do we fill in the circle? No, and it goes that way. All right, good luck.